After his home was broken into and robbed nearly 40 years ago, Korean War veteran Kit Paquette of Victoria never thought he'd see his medals again. But thanks to two strangers who decided to renovate their kitchen, he got his medals back.
I said to my husband that we're going to spend the money and get the kitchen done, and I was adamant. So really, that's how it came about.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I can be stubborn.
For 20 years, Linda Verruyt had asked her husband Bart to remodel the kitchen of their Saanich home. When Bart began ripping the walls apart, he discovered buried treasure.
And I started pulling the coves off, and then once I got to the main ceiling, all the insulation, of course, dropped out of my head as well. But tinkle tinkle, in the insulation comes two medals. So I went around to the Army, Navy type stores, and people wanted to buy them off me, but nobody seemed to be able to tell me how to go about finding the owner. Going to the Legion, they said go to the Veterans Affairs. Veterans Affairs can't do anything because he's still alive. So it's all under the Secrecy Act.
But Bart was determined to get the medals back to the soldier they belonged to.
If I earned a medal, I wouldn't want somebody else wearing it or melting it down for the silver content. I'd like the medal to pass on to my offspring.
So he contacted his pastor, Al Fowler, a former military pastor and historian.
Well, I always like a good mystery. The two medals, one was the United Nations Korea medal. It was given out to anyone who served with the Canadian military in Korea between 1950 and 53. The other is a Canadian Korea medal, and again given out from Canada as opposed to from the UN.
And that medal featured a soldier's name and service number. Kit Paquette grew up in Manitoba. In 1950, when he was just 20 years old, serving in the Army Reserves, he was sent overseas.
I was sent to Japan and did some training there, and then we were sent to Korea.
The Korean War has sometimes been described as more of a police action than World War II was. However, there were moments that were quite hot, and we have some heroes, real heroes, walking around the streets of Victoria even, still today.
Didn't think I was a hero, but doing something right for Canada.
The Korean War began in 1950. It ended in 1953. Over 26,000 Canadians served in the Korean War. 516 of them lost their lives. Al Fowler contacted the Korean Veterans Association, told them about the recently discovered medals, and asked them to contact Mr. Paquette.
Oh, I was delighted to know that he was still living and that he was in Victoria.
We phoned the people up right away, and we got permission to go and see the gentleman, and his daughter-in-law Cheryl was there with us, and we presented him back to him. He was ecstatic, and she was ecstatic, and we were.
What does that mean to you and to your family to have these medals back?
Well, it's really special. I mean, these can go to his great-grandchildren. They have great-grandchildren.
And for those great-grandchildren, they can hold in their hands a tribute to a man who served his country. In Victoria, I'm Dan Kahan.